Okay, good morning, everybody. Very welcome to this final event of the EU-funded CHEK project. CHEK stands for Change Toolkit for Digital Building Permit. And I'm very happy to see you all here. So for most of you, it's right after your holidays. The more we appreciate it that you're here to attend this final event. And in this final event, we will present the results of the CHEK project, which has been running for almost 3 years. Will come to an end 1st of October. And we also will put the results in a wider context and show to you what's next. But before we start the program, I would like to ask a few questions to you via Mentimeter. So I hope that you have joined the Mentimeter, and otherwise there is a link in the chat also. This should. You see my screen?
Yes, it says click to exit full.
Sorry, it says what? Sorry?
Click to exit full.
Okay,
That's
but you see the slide?
Yeah.
Do you see my, oh yeah. So do you see a question also?
No, fortunately not.
Sorry, I don't have to stop screen. I see people answering, so that's good. Maybe I should do it from here. And now?
Yes, we can see the answer.
Okay.
Answers.
Okay, that's good. Yeah. So that gave you some time to answer this question. So where are you from? And I see that 19 people now have responded.
We don't see again.
You don't see it?
No, it's turned back to click to exit full screen.
Oh.
Yeah, now it's visible.
Okay, then I leave it here then. I don't see the new. I don't see new answers coming in, but maybe also not people do that. Okay. So I see 20 people who have responded. So I'm not sure if more. So you're with more of than 20. So you're. I will wait a bit more. Oh, we see more people coming in. So that's nice. Many people from Spain, from Portugal. Okay, I go to the next question. So from what kind of organization are you? Can you share that with us? So municipality and other government, research, are you from a company, standardization or networking organization or other? So several municipalities, several companies. At least, and also research in other governmental organizations, standardization organizations. Okay, I go to the next question. do this like this. How long does it typically take to get a building permit in your country? Is that less than 6 months, 6 to 12 months, 1 to 2 years, more than 2 years? Or if you don't know. There are some effective countries participating, which give a building permit within 6 months, but also several are saying 1 to 2 years. Okay, and then I will go to the final question. Well, I see that still people are entering the meeting. Next question is, what remains the top priority for digital building permits according to you? So faster approvals, transparency, reducing errors, citizen friendliness, data reuse, or others. So your answers are focusing on faster approvals, transparency, reducing errors, and data reuse. So thank you for answering those questions. You have a nice overview of your background, but also on the challenges for building permits, and also why the reason why we run this this project. So I'm very happy to announce now the first presentation of today, which will be given by Francesca Noardo. Francesca is a researcher and project manager at OGC, the Open Geospatial Consortium. She did a PhD at the Polytechnical University in Torino in Italy. And she also is the founder and leader of the European Network for Building Permits. I'm very happy that she was also my colleague for 3 years in Delft, over 3 years in Delft. And from there, she developed and coordinated the proposal writing of CHEK. And also from her new role in OGC, she played a very important role in the coordination of the project. And that is why I'm very happy, Francesca, that you will now give a presentation with an overview of what we did the last 3 years. So the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Jantine, for the nice presentation. I will share my screen now. Let me know if it's working.
Yes, you can see it. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so thank you very much for being here, and welcome to this final event of CHEK, of this project that's been running for 3 years. And so let's start with an overview. This presentation will give you an overview of all the outcomes that we achieved and produced during the project. And then during the day, you will also have the opportunity to see more details in some of other presentations. So first of all, probably we know after all these years of talking about digital building permit, but just to be sure, so what is a digital building permit? Digital building permit is not just using some digital tools, but really considering and developing the transition from an analog process, which is based on documents, and to another process which is supported by digital tools and relies on digital processes, and is especially based on data, so uses building information models and 3D city models. The advantages of building permits are many. And in CHEK project, we tried to accompany this transition with tools, with practices, and with a strong interaction with stakeholders and municipalities. You already know probably the details of our project that's running from 2022, and we probably had some opportunities to meet around with you and with our consortium, which is composed by several stakeholders in the digital building permit process and value chain. So we have involved several companies, municipalities, researchers, and so on, and consultancy and standardization organizations also as a key partners. We have identified 5 relevant objectives for CHEK to fill the main gaps that we were seeing blocking the process towards the digitalization. So first of all, we tackled the process and we tried to make the shift between the document-based process to a more modular and granular and flexible process that could be effectively supported by digital tools. Second objective is about interoperability. Interoperability based on data requirements, starting from the regulations text, and also between GIS and BIM integration and multi-source data integration. Upskilling and reskilling, so providing new knowledge and skills to all the stakeholders was also a key objective for CHEK. Then comes all the part of technology developments and provision of supporting tools and software for making the checks and automating the process, and also joining all the parts, all the different and diverse components which are necessary for the digitalization. And finally, we wanted everything to be scalable, so we tested it on several cases. I will go now through the products, the output of the project, which were produced to support these objectives. So first of all, we tackled with the process map and provided a new, by starting from the analysis of the process maps for digital building permit, for building permit of the municipalities we had in the consortium. So Ascoli Piceno, Prague, Lisbon, and Villanova de Gaia. From overhead, a new process that could be more effectively supported by digital tools. You can find that in the Zenodo shared, and you can likely reuse it for your own cases. And it also became the reference for all the rest of the CHEK developments. Second, the important result was the maturity model to measure the maturity of building permits process in a municipality, and it's also important and key to build a roadmap for going towards these more advanced digitalization stages. It's also shared in Zenodo, and a huge work was done for building this maturity model and developing that towards the most scalable and agreed one. So it was also rediscussed in a wider group within the UNET for DBP, and a paper will be published soon. Oriola will talk about this better at 10:10. Building on these initial two results, we have a very interesting tool, which is the change management virtual assistant. And you can see probably in Oriola presentation later, and it's also shared on the web, and there are nice videos about it, and you can try it yourself. I see the link is not here anymore, but I can share it in the chat later. And this tool is assisting municipalities through a chatbot and through graphic interfaces, very user-friendly, to go through the tools and methods that we provided in CHEK. So analyzing the process map and using the maturity model and assessing one own digital building permit against these metrics. And the tool finally provides a tailored roadmap and the graphics and the assessment of the initial digitalization level and the intended one. Let's pass to the objectives too, so interoperability. For achieving that, we started from analyzing the regulations. It was a huge challenge. I will not talk about it anymore because I think that in these past years, we said a lot about that. So all the ambiguity, which is in the natural language, text regulations, and also all the customs which are usually considered for checking the projects and the new design, and all the knowledge and references to the laws that are really coming from practice of technicians rather than being explicit and formalized and not ambiguous in the text. So after tackling all of these challenges, we tried to formalize the regulations in order to make them more measurable and quantifiable. And from those, we, on the one hand, there were the algorithms for automatic checks that were developed, and we can see that later. And on the other hand, we had to draw data requirements. So which are the data that we need to start and to achieve reliable checks, which is key, of course, in digitalization, because otherwise municipalities cannot use digital tools if they are not 100% sure that the result of checks is reliable. So starting from these, we made an analysis and a careful data requirements definition and specification. Then we made a mapping towards the relevant standards that are there for 3D city models and BIM. So we used ISC and CTGML and CTJSON, in particular in the CTJSON encoding, and provided some specification. Also importantly, not only, of course, the semantic part of the data had to be considered, but also the geometric part. And accuracy is a key discussion that we probably need to develop further in the next future, because now the current practice is used to scale, to graphic scale references for the drawings that were asked in 2D, but all of these need to be translated to digital models. That means translating the accuracy and precision of a graphic scale of a drawing, which is still conceived not to be actually digital, but the logic is still the same than for manual and analog drawings, to something which is potentially way more accurate and way more precise, certainly, but that has some certain accuracy that comes from all the lineage of the data, for example, and so on. And it's absolutely essential to consider that and make the proper adjustment in the rest of the process. So that's something that we still need to reason about a lot. So once we specified all these data requirements, we map them to the standards and provide key results. First of all, an IDS, so an information delivery specification, which is a business smart standard, and it's intended to specify what is the contents that an ISC model should have. Based on these, also other tools were provided, such as an exporter that can automatically export from Revit the data set which is compliant to such IDS. And we also provided a validator for validating that actually the data are compliant to the IDS that we provided. in addition to the IDS, which is not per se sufficient to express all the details and all the specific characteristics that the data needed to have for being completely effective within the tools, we provided some microservices that were able to analyze the model and fill some data gaps that could still be there and could not be controlled through the IDS, the validator. But also it's worth mentioning that in addition to that, there were also modeling guidelines to be provided. So also a relevant step for the future is to understand how to agree to reach a consensus on how to store certain parts of the models, how to express certain semantics and certain values of the models in a way that is understandable and agreed by everyone. Big parts of the discussions in the project were about providing guidelines or making the tools adapt to the designer's uses and practice, because each design firm can have their own practices within the firm, and it's hard for them to make the shift to something which is ruled by the top down, or better by the software needs and the standardization needs. So how to store certain components of the buildings and how to manage some things, especially when we look at the context and at the geo and BIM integration. This is something which is for which CHEK has provided some initial modeling guidelines and best practices coming from our experience, but certainly it needs more discussion in the future and further developments, also with the support of building smart communities and the whole BIM community. Same thing on the geo side, we provided the OGC data exchange toolkit that allows providing a profile considering the geo standards. So for example, the CT-JSON was used here, and also other standards can be possibly adopted, standard data models. There is this interface that allows that is more user-friendly and allows specifying which are the objects needed and their characteristics. So the attributes to be included, the kind of values, and so on. Always referring to standardized data models and formalized data models through linked data, so in RDF formats. And it provides a shackle rules that allows validating the data. You can see here, for example, a validation error that a validation report that reports some errors in a model that was not entirely compliant to the rules, to the data requirements. And that's very valuable, again, for ensuring that the data are exactly how we expect them, and therefore the analysis and facts coming from those data are totally reliable. Second part of interoperability is about GeoBIM. So we provided some critical tools standing on the discussions that we had before. So how to store certain elements, for example, what is the kind of generalization that we need for the building, and so on. First relevant tool is this ISC georeferencing tool that can support the user in placing the building at the right place in the real world, in the world coordinate, in a projected coordinate system, and store those details in ISC map conversion attributes and classes that come from the ISC from version 4. You can find them in GitHub. Second part of GeoBIM is a Geo to BIM converter that allows to import some parts of the city model in the BIM tools for supporting the design or also for running some of the checks. And the development to BIM to Geo tool instead, which is, as you can see here, it also generalizes the model to the needed LLD. Objective 3 is now about filling the knowledge gaps and upskilling and reskilling the construction value chains. So we first provided some materials, a common glossary, and a wiki to understand each other, first of all, since we were a multidisciplinary consortium. In some cases, it was really necessary to set the basis for exchanging and integrating disciplines rather than just data and tools. And you can find everything through the website. Also, here on the right side, you can see some of the materials that was produced for the courses that we will see in a minute. These materials were intended as very easily digestible, let's say, so they can really be very user-friendly and learner-friendly, accompanying also the technical people and the practice people, which have not time to study many books, but they can really make them knowledgeable about the basics of building permits to make them easily available and able to run the tools and go towards the digital building permit. Here you'll find the e-learning hub of the CHEK project, and we provided some tools which are intended to be for practitioners and several kinds of practitioners, so municipality technicians, designers, and maybe other stakeholders. And then we have some more high-level courses, which is also intended to support further research on the topic, further implementation, and a more university-level approach. You can find the materials here in this third course, and a summer school was developed for testing those courses and those materials, and it was successfully run in July in Portugal. The materials will be probably later shared for reuse, so that an outcome of this project is also a step towards the integration of disciplines, and therefore towards more effective collaboration between the geo side, the geo world and the BIM world, but also towards all the other disciplines which are around the digital building permit. Objective 4 was about software tools. Later today, there will be a session which is entirely on the tools provided, so I will not spend much on these. Just very quickly, this is the architecture of the tools, of the digital tools that were supporting CHEK, and they were all interoperable and interconnected to each other towards through APIs. What happened here? And through this overall architecture, there are several checking tools connected. We had 3 companies, Virtual City Systems, and Site and Xenas, that were providing tools for checking these 4 kinds of regulations: distances, maximum building height, buildability indexes, and the internal parameters of the buildings, of the apartments, and something which is more related to the internal spaces of the building itself. And they have experimented and provided some solutions for checking those and going towards automation of the checks.
Francesca, kindly note that there are 5 minutes left for your session.
Yeah. Thank you, Diana. Several videos are available and openly in our YouTube channel that illustrate all the work, all the functionalities of these tools and of all the tools that we provided in the project, including the digital signature of the ISC model, which is a key result for enabling the use of digital building permits, because without that, the models might be not legally valuable, and therefore it's hard for municipalities to use them from a legal point of view. So this is also a key result for CHEK. Finally, we tested the scalability in the 4 cases. You can see here all the complexity of those demonstrations that were finally successful, and I'm happy to say that also talking to the people involved now at the end of the project, while at the beginning there were some concern on scalability. So looking at the regulations, we were really saying, yeah, no, but that's not possible to reuse. That's something totally different. It's not something we can do once for all. At the end of these, working on a higher level of granularity and to solving the issues one by one by limiting them to define problems and tackling them in this modular way. Someone was saying, yeah, well, in the end, we are not so different to each other. So I'm really happy to have heard this sentence that for me demonstrates scalability. And I don't know, sorry for this. So I am at the end of my presentation. You can find all the results in our website. Thank you very much for being here at the end of the project to celebrate, let's say, the achievement of the end and of our objectives. So before the final reporting effort, we are very happy to have you here to share with you these achievements and enjoy the rest of the event. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Francesca. And it's very nice to see this overview, and also which it underlines the importance of the collaboration with 19 partners and very different stakeholders who are all involved in the building permit process. So thank you very much. Are there questions at this moment? I don't see any questions in the chat. If not, then I propose that we go to the next session, and that is a panel session called City Shaping the Future of Building Permits and How CHEK helped in this journey. It will be moderated by Siham El Yamani. She is a postdoc in Delft University of Technology, and she will introduce the other speakers. So Siham, are you ready to share your screen or to introduce the session?
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Jantine. Thank you for joining today's last digital event. So, and welcome to this panel related to cities, municipalities, and public authorities that are the heart of this CHEK project. And before delving into discussing the main questions for today's digitalization journey, I would like to give the floor to our speakers. So we have today with us Rebecca from the Municipality of Madrid. She's the head of Innovation Department. We have also with us Milena from the Municipality of Ascoli Piceno, and she is also one of the municipalities at the heart of the pilot cases of CHEK project that tested the digital tools within these last 3 years. Fabian Stachel and hopefully I spell it well, Daniel Fimmerström from both the Swedish National Board of Housing, Building and Planning, and they both worked on the reusability of the CHEK tools, and we will delve into that together. But first of all, I would like to give the floor to properly each speakers introduce themselves briefly. Rebecca Herrera Rodriguez, the floor is yours.
Hi everyone, I'm an architect working in Madrid municipality, and we are working now in a project called Madrid DVP that will become a digital platform to check our building code digital. So that's why we are here, and we are part of the community of practice of CHEK DVP from almost the beginning. Thank you for the invitation, Francesca, Jason, and Siham as well.
Thank you for being here today, Rebecca. We give the floor to the second participant to today's panel, Milena Kosia, right? Can you give a brief introduction to yourself as well?
Yes, good morning. I'm from Municipality of Ascoli Piceno. I'm a civil engineer. I had a PhD in architecture and a master in public administration because I was in the past both freelance engineer, and then I was for 7 years military in the army of Carabinieri, and then from 10 years I work in the municipalities, and from 2021 I'm manager and director in the municipality of Ascoli Piceno, where we try to introduce the theme of BP process in Open BIM. So it was, I worked also in a designer company and also in a construction company. So I'm very at several experience and not only the ones in the municipality. So it was really important for me, my past and my experience, to understand our part in the project. Thank you.
Thank you, Melina. And we will discover and delve into the experience related to your feedback on the CHEK demos results that could be relevant to the end of the journey. For the last two speakers, we have with us, and we welcome warmly Fabian Stachel from the Swedish National Board of Housing, Building and Planning. Can you give a brief introduction, please? The floor is yours.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for the floor. I am joining you from Malmö, Sweden. Thank you for the introduction. My name is Fabian Ståhl, and I work for the National Board of Housing, Building and Planning in Sweden, or Boverket in short. I'm an architect, and I've been with Boverket for the past 5 years, and I have 10 years plus experience working with BIM, and my work at Boverket is to make sure that we reach some level of national adoption of BIM. And with me, we have Daniel as well.
Indeed, you smoothly gave the floor to Daniel to introduce himself too. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. So my name is Daniel Fimmerström. I'm the owner of Buildility, and I'm probably the odd bird in this gathering, since I'm no architect, but I'm an engineer, so engineer within aerospace. But within that aerospace, I've used very advanced visualization tools and digitalization tools. And then as a hobby, I started doing building permits. I thought I could do a little bit more with my skills. By doing that, I discovered, well, it's a quite fragmented industry. We could probably improve this, and hence I launched Buildility. And I'm very fortunate to be able to work with Fabian and Boverket, and also the National Survey Agency in Sweden, Lantmäteriet. And from that, we have developed Byggnadsportal, which we will return to. Thank you.
Thank you deeply, Danielle, for also accepting to join on short notice. All speakers has been reactively answering, especially with the holidays time. And I would like to delve into one question, complex questions, and give the floor to everyone, but don't hesitate to discuss it and give feedback to each other. Given time constraints, I make it a complex, like many questions within one. But if we take a distance from 3 years CHEK project, or also from your experience in a municipality or public authority, or collaborating with a public authority, we see that one of the most challenging things during this journey is how to start digitalization of building permitting, and to what maturity level and how to begin. There is that's why a CHEK project is in this journey. But I would like to ask you, how did you find any challenges into digital transformation during your journey? How did you make it possible? And if by any time CHEK results helped to make this journey easier, we would like to hear from you. Any implementations or any scalable implementations. I would love to hear more from you, so that will be really lovely to hear from your insights, as you are the heart of this digitalization journey. Thank you so much. You can start. Who feel comfortable first? Yeah, you would like to start, Rebecca? Would you?
Yeah. Well, in Madrid, our digital building permit journey started 5 years ago in 2020, when we launched our first proof of concept. I think that worked very well for us. We tested a real tool, and we parameterized a really small amount of our building code parameters in a real project in the city. And later, 2 years later, in 2022, a second proof of concept confirmed that that was the right path. That's why we turned into another really essential point, that was the preliminary market consultation between 2023, 2024. It gave us a direct contact with the real change makers, so technology developers, BIM and GIS experts, and specialists in artificial intelligence as well. And the reports that we received from this market consultation were essential to shape our tender of Madrid DVP, our future digital permitting platform. So I think that both of them, the preliminary market consultation and the proof of concepts, were work really well for us. And I would like to say that from the beginning, we were made a strong commitment as well from the Open BIM and Open standards, as CHEK the DVP did. And because we think, as a public authority, choosing an open and accessible path is the key to ensure the long-term sustainability of a digital building permit platform. So I think these are the 3 keys that worked really well for us. I can talk about the big challenges, or maybe another colleague can talk about the same, what worked well.
Yeah, that could be really smooth. Maybe we can give the floor to Melina, as you are being in the heart of testing one of the pilot municipalities that we have. We have mainly 4 municipalities that are also together with us today. They participated actively in the last 6 months into demonstrating at many stages the tools, the CHEK DPP platform, and the validation process. How can you tell us, as one of the pilot we had alongside with Prague municipality, Portuguese municipalities, Lisbon municipality, and Vila Nova de Gaia, and yours, what was the main spotlight of the journey that you had?
Well, our experience for the municipality of Ascoli Piceno in DBP process started with this project. So we are not a big city, but as Francesca said before, we represent, at least in Italy, the best practice for repeat the experiments, because we are a medium city and represent almost half the population live in city like ours. So at the beginning was, you said before, Siam, that what was most challenging before starting the pilot. And for us was to understand our needs, our issues, our gap, technological gap. And we were a little bit scared, you know, and Francesca know, all the consortium knew that we were a little bit scared overall because, you know, it was difficult for us before starting with the pilot, of course, to let you understand, the consortium, what we were, how we were used to work, and how it was difficult for us to let you know which are our needs, which are our day-by-day habits, and so on. So at the beginning, we concentrated too much, for instance, on all the rules, and Rebecca tell before that, probably we had to concentrate, we had to be more focused, and that was the pilot experience. So for the pilot, we chose just some rules to understand how we work on the tool and how we could feel comfortable with the checks made by the tools. So it was very interesting for us to understand. First of all, we have a gap to do to go ahead. So the HAE tool told us that we need at least 10 years to introduce the BP process in our city. But I'm optimist, you know, so I know that we will be better. But in the pilot, we understood that, okay, we have a lot of issues, we have a lot of needs, we have to recover and to bear with technological gap, but we can work on it, and we can be comfortable, we can work on some rules, and then continue and maybe our process in the future step by step. So worked well. What worked well and was that the consortium helped us to feel more comfortable with the tools, and with the pilot we understood that it is possible. Even if we have issues, we have a technological gap, we have to invest on our 3D city model, and also we understood that maybe our market, that is a local market, so we have, you know, maybe Rebecca in a big city speak with big companies, but we speak with single designers in an Italian province. So maybe in the DB process, we have to push people to use and to experiment the open BIM building permit process. But that's very challenging for us, and we are having contact with the architect engineer in the province, and so we want to, you know, introduce the mentality of changing our way of working. So the pilot told us that we can use, and it is possible. The pilot showed us how much we have to invest on our technology and training, but it demonstrated that it is possible, and we have a path, and we know what we need, and that's the best part. So compared with other small cities in Italy, we understood which is the best path that we have to do, and what we need, and what are the issues that we have to fix. So it's an awareness and a consciousness that is a very high value for a small city like ours.
Thank you for this valuable feedback, Milena. So I'm trying to wrap up a bit, and if clearly we see your journey, we can say that the most starting or challenging points at the start can be the resistance to change within your municipality, the how can we do the transformation, and meanwhile keeping up the daily basis schedule and also milestones within the municipality. But the third part, can we say that at the moment, as Madrid municipality experienced it now with the tender, that as a result of CHEK project transformation and the process workflow that has been adapted to you with the tools, it gives you a visibility to go forward and maybe submit a small tender, or do you have any follow-ups for generalizing this experience after CHEK?
Yes, it's exactly what I wanted to share with you. So we are ready to start with not only research and demonstration, but a real path in our day-by-day processes. So now we know how to start, what we need. We can speak with maybe companies or with the market, and we are aware of what we need and what are the steps we have to do. So we can now, we can step by step invest on it and to be ready to introduce an OpenDB process in our normal process. Of course, we knew from the beginning that the tools from the CHEK were not in commercial use, no, because it was a research path. And for that, the results are the ones that we were expecting. So after the research and this journey we do, we know and we are aware which are the steps maybe to be good as Madrid or other big cities.
Thank you, Milena. Yeah, we will get back for Madrid for more details about the journey and challenges specifically. But now we've heard the two municipality and city partners, public authorities. We will hear from two different backgrounds, but one public authority and one private sector working together. Milena and Rebecca, both of them, they talked about the digitalization transformation journey. We would like to hear from you how it was. And from also Milena, she said that the tools, the adaptation of research tools within CHEK project has been a great success, because we're not talking about a really commercial solution, but bridging the gap from research to provide an upgraded possibility. That's why we call it CHEK Change in Toolkit. We would like to hear from both of you. How was this transformation, and if CHEK helped within it?
Well, from Madrid until now, I think our biggest challenge has been preparing the public procurement documents for Madrid DVP platform, because it doesn't exist yet on the market. So we had to design something almost from scratch, realistically, and we had to phase it into really small pieces that we call MVPs, so minimal viable products. And this requires a lot of coordination across many teams, IT experts, architects, engineers, GIS specialists, and legal advisors, all from the municipality. It was quite complicated. And another important challenge was the legal certainty, so making sure that this innovation part goes hand in hand with our regulatory framework that is quite complex, actually, and with the citizens' rights that sometimes, it's quite complicated. But honestly, I think the most challenging part is coming now after the tender finished. So once the contract is awarded and the implementation begins, is going to be a really big challenge from the digital part, but as well from the cultural change. This gap that Milena talked about, I think is quite complicated for people, architects, and technical people from the municipality as well. Is quite complicated. And our experience from CHEK, we followed CHEK DVP very closely from the start, even before joining the community of practice. I remember reading your deliverables published from the beginning and presented to my colleagues sometimes to understand what we could learn from them, and they gave us value guidance during our own proof of concept and the consultation as well. And actually, that helped us to prioritize, like, for example, the need of the parameterize our regulations. We actually create a group of people with experts inside the municipality to translate our natural building code into a machine language code that is working really well. And the importance, for example, of integrating GIS into the solution. So we include GIS experts into Madrid DVP team from the beginning as well. And we also attend to several webinars organized by CHEK DVP, and they were really useful because we were able to learn from the technical providers and researchers as well, and also hearing about another initiatives from another municipalities. And I think CHEK is a great space for networking as well. So thank you.
Thank you, Rebecca, for the detailed experience. We are glad that the digital transformation helped you in the process. And we can say you've been also one of the early leaders, adopters, we can say, in digitalization in Spain, helping to have this tender. And you talked about many challenges. I would like to first give the floor, because of time and constraints, to Fabian and Daniel, and we will get back to talk about more in details about challenges. Thank you.
Thank you, Sian. Well, we have a slightly different approach, obviously. I'm from a national agency, which means we're not on the municipality level. However, building permits are handled on the municipality level in Sweden as well. We have 290 municipalities to coordinate. But we have done a pilot utilizing parts of the CHEK project directly. And this pilot aimed to use a BIM model submitted from the applicant of a building permit, simulated. In this case, it's the pilot. And by using that BIM model, using it through the case handling and being able to extract specifically the envelope for using and updating a national digital twin in the cadastre. So that has been our aim with the pilot. And the aim of the pilot is to make sure that there is a showcase and also a form of a business case for municipalities to make the adoptions by allowing applicants to submit BIM models in terms of improving municipality efficiency. So that was the aim of the pilot. And we took a very direct approach. As Daniel mentioned, we have been working together with the cadastral agency as well in Sweden, and Land Survey. And through a series of innovation tenders, we have been able to develop this pilot over the course of, how long is it now? Is it a year and a half or 2 years?
I think it's 2 years.
And we have done it extremely agile and with a small team. And Daniel, you could perhaps introduce how we have done it.
Yeah, so we've done it by working in what we would like to refer to as a triple helix collaboration. So that it means that we work both with government, which is represented by you here, and then academia as well, so universities, and also in this case, CHEK, I would say, and then us as the industry representatives in that case. So lots of different ways to try and figure out basically we have the scope, we have what we're trying to solve, the problem or the challenge given to us by Fabian. We understand that we are basically too small to to solve all those challenges ourselves. But in that case, it gives space for innovation, right? So we need to figure out, we need to research, we need to scour the web and find what is available here. And that's when we came across the CHEK project, and specifically the two libraries, so to say, that we used was the IFC envelope extractor. So for that, we took a model like this, and we extracted, in this case, basically mostly only the floor or the bottom of the building in that case, and we could then allow the use case of sending the IFC models, extract the information that was needed, convert it to the data that the database was using, and then we could provide this as a way of modifying and altering the data. So basically, you could take a file that is most commonly exported and update the database with that. Thank you, Jasper. Also, I see that you're here online in the meeting. We also used the IFC georeferencing library as well to simulate having georeferenced IFC models and then importing those as well into this platform. The platform that we're building and collaborating or combining all of these things into is called the Byggnadsportal or the Building Portal. And basically, I view it as a data aggregation platform. So you have multiple data sets, digital zoning maps. You can combine all of those together with these digital buildings, and you can do you can get a very good situational awareness and do, for example, building permit administration through it.
Thank you, Danielle and Fabian. So if we can,
we kindly note that there are 4 minutes left for the session.
Thank you, Diana. So that gives us the time to maybe a bit wrap up for 2 sentences to each other about quite quickly about the challenges and what's next. But first of all, I would like to get back to Danielle and Fabian's experience with CHEK project tools, because we have a session today, which is the GeoBIM solutions based on CHEK project results, and we will showcase, thanks to our TU Delft team or also OGC and other CHEK partners, what are the results that has been demonstrated by the latest versions. Yeah, quickly, maybe overall, because Rebecca, you talked about the legal issues, the intellectual property. We are talking here also, Daniel and Fabian talked about reuse in research, open data science. So I would like to hear from the 4 of you, maybe a summary of this journey in terms of what could you overcome in these challenges? Data privacy, you really talked about many relevant subjects related to this digital transformation. So please go ahead and tell us in mainly 2 to 3 sentences, what do you would like to say about it? Thank you. Do you feel comfortable to go ahead, Rebecca, right?
Yeah, well, about legal security, I'm not an expert, so my colleagues are working on that. But I think it's really important that everything that we will do with the 3D models, how we can collect these models and use the information that the models have, we have to have the certainty that it's in a security space and we cannot be kind of shared with another parts of the municipality or external parts. And this is quite challenging at the moment.
Well, it's the same because we work in a municipality, so every day we have issues about the personal data and reserved data. So for us, it's a big revolution to have all those data about private buildings, because for now they are only figure on our maps, but we are aware that they can become an object, as Daniel showed us, and an object that we are not used to deal with because it is a private object. So for the future, we really feel that we have to, to deal with and to let people trust us and trust our system, security system. So maybe we have to push the national law for cybersecurity to help us and to reassure, I don't know, to ensure people to give us their data, because they are very important for us in terms of security. We have, earthquakes, we have a problem with flows and so on and so on. So we need those data that are very important for civil, civil service, and for the future, for security of our territory, that are very in crisis. For the changing of that we need, but we need probably like a hat for government to let people be safe and to give us all data, because we can use them and we touch, and it's the first time in our history.
Thank you, Milena. We would like to hear also in 2 quickly sentences during to time in about your journey as a government speaker. Yeah.
Yes, the question about privacy and trust in data is extremely important. Fortunately, in Sweden, we have a long tradition, high trust with the public agencies of keeping and collecting a lot of data, which is fortunate for us because we have loads of data sets to work with, and we have good quality public data, also nationally covered, which helps. And hopefully by using these new implementations, we can also safeguard that. Even adding more data still makes it as safe as we are used to, and maybe that could help transforming the way we view data, and especially publicly important data, because as mentioned, tracking flows, tracking earthquakes and flooding, building data extremely important, and keeping that up to date and high quality is of utmost importance for an entire society. So that's what we hope to do, and keep safeguarding data and the privacy.
Thank you. And then lately for you, Daniel, as you are from other perspective in private sector, would like to hear from you also the other challenges related not only to data sets privacy, but data sets digitalization from regulation parts. Maybe you can give us more insights. We couldn't give more time to that insight element.
Yeah, but quickly, so since it was an innovation project in that sense, we weren't really exposed to the full level of the requirement sets, but we did take consideration to identifying data in that sense that we did not allow that to be put into our backend. Rather, we were using the National Survey Agency or cadastral database to handle all of that data. And compared to that, I'm really fortunate we have this, because compared to a national agency maintaining and managing that database, we as a startup cannot compare. So this is extremely useful that this is available to us, and that they can manage that important part of it and have a government basically guaranteeing data integrity in that sense. So that's really something I wanted to add to this.
Thank you, everyone, Daniel, Fabienne, Rebecca, and Milena. The discussion can go all over, so insightful, but we have the follow-up agenda to go on. And as we talked about digitalization, the next session will be about the process for the maturity model of this digitalization. Thank you, everyone, and hope to see you by the end of this event.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Siham, and all the speakers of this session. It's always very interesting to see the perspectives of the final users of this technology. So thank you very much for providing that. Now we pass to the following session, which is about digitalization process and maturity model. So CHEK DBP and the European research. We have two important researchers in the area. So Judith Faut, who is now researcher at the TU Munich and a key researcher for the topic of digital building permit, and Oriola Braholi from Fraunhofer Italia, who was partner of CHEK and developed a great job on the process maps, on the maturity model, and the virtual assistant. So I will give the floor to Judith for her presentation.
Yeah, thank you so much. Let me share my screen. I hope that works for everyone.
Yes, we see that. Thank you, Judith.
Perfect. Yeah, thank you so much, Francesca, for the introduction, and thank you for the CHEK Consortium for inviting me to give a little insight on my research. So I called my presentation today Studies on Building Permit System across Europe and beyond, and because it's going to be a little confusing, so I start with a small agenda. So I'm going to talk about European building permit process and system analysis studies we have done. So there are actually two. So this is the confusing part. So we did a comparative study on the processes in 17 European countries, and we also did a bigger report on 19 European countries. So just if you want to look into deeper, I will explain also a little bit further. And I also wanted to tell you something about some ontology work I have done for digitalization of the building permit process. And I also put at the end some suggestion for further reading because I have just a short amount of time and I don't want to stress this too much. So which is going to be on similar topics or let's say related topics to the CHEK project. Yeah, just for more curious people. To very quickly introducing myself, so I'm a researcher, postdoc at the Technical University of Munich since April. Before that, I was also postdoc at the University of Cambridge and the TU Wien. But before that, I also spent some time at Fraunhofer Italia, for example. My background is in construction management. I have a doctorate degree from the Bauhaus University in Weimar, Germany. And yeah, so all my research since I started my PhD there in 2016 is all about building permitting. So yeah, and now I'm gonna jump into what we understand of building permit systems. So this is also based on a paper we wrote together also with Francesca and other people I saw already here in the audience today. I also put all the QR codes here for each paper because I'm gonna, let's say, scroll through them more or less. So if you want to read it further, so please go ahead. And yeah, so just a little bit of complexity, but we heard already in the panel before. So there are many different parts we have to consider if it comes to building permitting. So there's not just legislative ones or organizational things, including social or political aspects, for example. Of course, we have the technology which we have to consider. But what this, let's say, session is about is more about the processes and the procedures we are facing, which is also highly complex. So from there, I'm jumping directly to the comparative study. We did also in collaboration, let's say, with the EUnet for DPP, which took us 3 years from the starting point until publishing the results. And as you can see here, so we have a long offer list. I think it was more than 20 people involved, especially in the other one. And we covered here 17 European countries. Interestingly, it's the most read article in this journal in the last year. So thanks for that. I hope you find it interesting. And yeah, so from the process comparison in this journal article, we developed, let's say, those tables to have a very easy understanding, let's say, what processes are actually happening in the different countries. You can read it, the countries here, so I don't want to go for every detail here. But you can also easily catch that there are like some processes that they are like, of course, that's obvious, let's say, but others might be even not. And this is quite, I think, very interesting. And this is also why those processes, and especially the technical implementation and supporting system, need to be flexible and scalable as well. So just, for example, this pre-consultation process step, let's say if the applicant has the opportunity to go to a pre-consultation at the municipality or jurisdiction. So this is really something which differs between the countries. Sometimes it's very optional, sometimes it's even mandatory. In other cases, they don't provide the service anymore. But also, for example, how to participate other agency or even the public, like the neighbors or even the entire public. Also, this really differs a lot, but I think it's an important step we need to consider. But this is just to give you a glimpse of it, because not just what process step happens is important, but also in what order they're happening. It also differs quite widely between all the countries, at least the ones we have investigated, but also if it comes to the stakeholders, so also they are like differ between the countries as well. So for example, in Slovenia, which I find very interesting, so that the applicant is actually responsible to participate all the other agencies and the public or the neighbors beforehand, and which is also very tricky because they may even do not really know who actually they need to participate. And this also, of course, causes other problems. So this was the journal article. So we also, as I mentioned, we did a bigger report, which I think has more than 100 pages, if you like to read it in detail. So here you can find, by then we were even able to add more, 2 more countries from Europe to that. And in this comparative study or this descriptive work, it's not just about the processes, what I just presented in those tables on this table format. This is actually also, we are try to describe all the different systems in a kind of a short and summarizing way to get an overview on all those 19 countries. And you can also see all the country PPMN diagrams from each of the 19 European countries there. So please have a closer look into that. And now I'm jumping into this ontology work we have done together with some other German researchers, but also during my time at the University of Cambridge, so which is called Onto PPR, an ontology-based framework for performing building permit reviews. And we also used information containers for that. But to get a relation to the process, so you may identify, so those gray boxes are more or less some important high-level process steps we have to perform during a building permit review within the jurisdiction or the municipality. And we actually not just wanted to, let's say, develop a new ontology for every new step, because our idea was to reusing existing ontologies and combining them into more or less an ontology network or ontology framework. And so we did this in a previous work, and then we also added, let's say, other process steps that we can perform, let's say, from the formal review, from the reception of a building application until the completion, and also the notification of the decision letter. And what I also find interesting approach, where we also probably need more research about, but we try to start with this very schematic multi-layer structure for a building permit review process, so that we first of all divided it into the different laws we need to take care of. It's a simplified saying on the planning and building law. And we identified, let's say, what level of information we would need for the specific process steps, going further down into, let's say, development plans on the planning side, but also into building codes on the regulatory document side and on the building code side. So then we added several layers, and it will also give us, let's say, hints what level of information I need to actually proceed or to decide on specific process steps, as you can see here on the right side. So for the assignment, for example, like say what bidding official should be responsible for a specific project. So it's a kind still high level. But if I want to know which other department do I need to participate, so then I need a little more information. So I need to understand what actually other expertise I would need further down into the very, very detailed content check and all the information requirements and the actual clauses within the regulations, just to give you an overview on that. And as I said, I wanted to talk about a little further reading, which I think it's quite related to the CHEK project. I think Oriola next will also talk about KPIs. So I also worked on some KPI work previously, which might be also interesting to have a look at. For example, we considered what can we actually count from a process diagram, from a BPMN diagram, and what information will give us to us. Or for example, will it be a group decision? So will there be multiple people involved in the project on the review or not? Or also, for example, the community, is the community involved? And then also subdividing into who is actually the community? Is it the public? Is it the neighbors? Is it nobody? Or maybe even when the community will be involved, is it like, say, before the review, like this on the applicant's responsibility? Is it within the review, or is it even after that? So then another maybe worth reading is the on-site inspection, which could be in some countries also plays a very big part in the building permit process, and others rather not. But we are trying to, in this paper, understanding and conceptualizing those inside inspection, and also there's already further work going on probably also integrating it into some ontology work and in this ontology network. Also very European related is this connection between the digital building logbook and digital building permit. So together with some colleagues, and Pedro Meda was the main author here. So we are trying to understand the connection between them, because I think it's very important that, again, we don't need to redundant information and data. So if we have it, so let's reuse it in a proper and sound way. And yeah, I think that's also important, or should be important for everyone. So with many people, I think, from CHEK and also from the Accord, the sister project, and other people, also DigiChecks. So we did an interesting investigation of the sustainability development goals and their relation to digital building permits. Yeah, I think it's obvious that it contributes something to sustainability, but we were keen to understand to what degree do we actually do that, and how the SDG, Sustainability Development Goals, are actually connected. And I think the results are actually quite interesting. So that was my run through some of my studies. I hope you find it interesting, and yeah, if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer, and thanks again for the invitation.
Thank you very much, Judith, for the overview of your valuable research, and also looking at the amount of collaborations you are always promoting. I think these products are actually reflecting very relevant progress, and and good information for a basis to stand on for all the other developments. So thank you very much. Is there maybe a space for a question to Judith very quickly? I don't see them in the chat right now. Maybe we will have time later. So if you have, please write, and we will find a moment to tackle them. And in the meantime, I introduced Oriola Braholli, that will present the work. Yep. The work of CHEK for maturity model and the process advancement. Thank you, Oriola.
Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can see it. Thank you.
Yes,
Okay,
but we see the wrong one, Oriola. We see the speaker desk.
Okay, sorry. And now, I think.
It's not full screen yet. No, it's still the speaker.
Still the speaker. Okay.
Okay, now it works. Thank you.
Okay. Sorry for that. So, hello everybody. I'm Oriola from Fraunhofer Italia, and which is a partner of the CHEK project. And in this presentation, I'm going to be introducing you to the whole digitalization process and the maturity model that we developed in CHEK. So first of all, how and where did we start to build this digitalization process and maturity model? Okay, sorry. Of course, we started from the CHEK proposal and the objectives and KPIs that were already defined during the proposal of the project. It was a successful proposal. Of course, a big role in this, we took into account some of the drivers that we already know that are issues, current issues in the building process, let's say worldwide, like inefficiencies and the lack of transparency, which also have a big impact also in the urban development. We also had a very big input from the 4 municipalities that are participating as partners in the CHEK project. They were constantly with us throughout the whole process mapping and maturity assessment of this process. Taking into account all these drivers and the CHEK objectives and the proposal, we knew that we needed to come up with a process that was transparent, efficient, scalable, applicable, and all those keywords that you see. So these keywords had to accompany us throughout all this path of transition in the digitalization of the building permit process. So how we successfully went through this transition path. So first of all, as I said, we knew very well where we wanted to be. We had very defined objectives and goals in the project, and also very clear feedback from our 4 municipalities. We knew very well also where we were. So what the current situation was. What we needed to do actually was map where all that process, or map all our knowledge where how this current process was. And what do I mean by map where we were? I mean to have an as-is process, so an as process map as a documented, and also assess the maturity of this process. So we needed these 2 documents, let's say, or 2 states known. Then after we know where you are, and where we are and where we wanted to be. We needed to map also where we wanted to be, and again have a process map for the to-be process, and also have assessed the maturity of this to-be process. And finally, we planned our path from where we were and where we wanted to be with a roadmap. So this is the full path that we made throughout the CHEK project to map our process and assess the maturity of the process. So how did we do that? We started in the beginning, everything was a bit confusing and overwhelming. Of course, there was a lot of information. It was a lot of discussions and workshops, but we were able to finally come up with a methodology for process mapping for the digital building permit process, and with a methodology for maturity assessment, and with two final products or tools, let's say, the CHEK to-be process map and the CHEK maturity model. Here is a very simplified version of the CHEK to-be process map that we were able to document. If you scan the QR code, you will have access to the extended version of the CHEK to-be process map, which is published in Zenodo. For more clarity, I chose to present the simplified version. What is important about this process map and about the CHEK digital building permit process is that here I want to mention only some key parts of this process map. As very important, we integrated a phase of pre-submission, which includes a pre-checking phase, which is one of, we consider it to be one of the key moments of all this process, because it has a significant impact, also resulting, we saw this during the pilots with the CHEK testing in the last phase of the project, that it significantly impacted the efficiency and the transparency of this process, which was which were also objectives of the project. Then an important moment of this process is the official validation of the project, of the IFC model in this case, and also a very, very important and crucial part of this entire process as part of the
We don't hear you.
Yeah, Oriola, we have missed you.
This ecosystem, the CHEK platform,
Oriola,
and these ecosystems of tools, we were able also to increase significantly the transparency in the process, so giving more visibility and accessibility to the stakeholders in this whole process. So as I said, we by assembling this new CHEK to be process, and in digitalizing and integrating BIM and GIS into it,
Okay, now we miss her for real. Okay, so we will give her time to reconnect, I guess. Are there any questions in the meantime to the speakers that came before?
I don't see any questions in the chat, but feel free also to ask questions directly if
yeah, just raise your hand. Maybe I can ask you a question then. So are you using any maturity model for digital building permits in your practice or research? And which are them? Or I don't know, do you have any interesting point to mention? So if not in research, maybe municipalities that are developing building permits. Do you have such a reference model to develop the digitalization? How useful do you think it could be? And what is your experience or wishes with respect to that? Oriola is here in the meantime, but my question is still valid for you. Maybe Milena, since I see you there, you can try and ask what was your experience in Ascoli Piceno with the maturity model that CHEK has produced. Oriola, welcome back. In the meantime, you can set up your presentation to start again where we miss you. And I have asked Milena.
I'm very sorry about that connection problems.
Yeah, no problem.
Can you tell me where was the last point?
We were at the beginning, I think, of the process map. We started to see issues.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we hear you. Okay. In the meantime, Milena will tell us about their experience with the maturity model.
You know, Francesca, that we were the worst in the consortium.
That's why it's valuable to ask you.
The challenging municipality. But well, we wait for Oriola to fix the presentation. You know, we were very far, from a consciousness about what we are going to be, what the market will be and will change and develop in introducing the open BIM. So our experience is that, of course, we have to invest, in training and overall in trusting the model, because I would just to share with you that as a civil servant, we were not used to really have in our hands the model. Okay, so we were just like spectators, like people looking at the models, looking at the PDF, looking at designers, but we couldn't enter the model. We couldn't have the data inside. So the best part of this approach of CHEK was that for the first time we start to enjoy and to work with the model, and understood that those models are part of our city environment, and we can use them for future use overall, as I said before, in security, traffic control, and so on. But we were not mature for that. So we are making our step, and CHEK was very, very helpful for us to understand how far we are. But all the consortium show us which will be our path, and that's the best part for us.
Thank
but
you.
I don't know if Oriola fixed the presentation.
Yeah, thank you for your perspective, Milena and Oriola. I think we were the slide after this, and even if I love this diagram, and you can take the presentation back from here. Yes, I think it's okay. Thank you.
Okay. So sorry again, as I was saying, so this is the simplified version of the CHEK digital building permit process map. In the QR code, you can find the extended version. I want to introduce just some very important and key moments of this process. First of all, I want to mention the phase of the pre-submission that includes one important moment of the pre-checking. that is a very important moment, and we proved that this could save a lot of time during the process, but also increase the transparency of the process, together with two other very important moments, like the official validation of the ILC model, and also the automated rule checking, which are important moments in the saving the time in the whole process in a significant way. We were also able to during the process to foresee an increased transparency during the whole process by using the CHEK tool ecosystem. And so giving to the stakeholders more visibility and accessibility into their process. So we were able to fulfill two very important KPIs foreseen in the proposal: the efficiency and transparency, but also a wide list of other KPIs that we have measured and fulfilled to, let's say, good level, like the 100% of the steps of the process now are digital. Then an amount of regulations was possible to be translated and automated. We proved that at least the regulations that we translated and during the automatic validation and checking, the results were correct. It was possible to integrate a large amount of documents in the B model. These implemented regulations for automatic rule checkings are all flexible, so are all accessible and modified by the municipality. We now have IFC model verification and validation. The user experience is improved as we got these results from the testimonials of the testing pilots. And also we were able to provide training and increase of competencies during the project. Another result is the CHEK maturity model, which is also, this is a simplified version, but through the QR code you are able to access the extended version and also use the model to assess your process in your municipality, and then let us know your feedback. The third important result is the CHEK roadmap. So based on the CHEK DBP process and maturity model, you can also build a roadmap that would take you on the path from where you are to where you want to be, based on the CHEK objectives and the CHEK DBP process map. As I said, this is the path that we were able to go through and have those three results I mentioned. And to do that, it took us, let's say, a huge amount of work in an European project, including 4 municipalities, a lot of experts and technicians, many workshops and analysis. So around 2 years.
Sorry to interrupt you. We are running a bit late, so if you can
wrap up, okay.
Wrap up a bit, or yeah, go a bit faster so we can.
Yes. So the last, let's say, key point we had to fulfill and KPI is how to make this process scalable. And what we did is, so we rethought the whole process and organized it in modules and integrated it in the CHEK, the digital assistant. Of course, it is supported by AI. And do we have time to show the video of the virtual assistant as well? Here's a couple of minutes.
Yeah, we can Well, maybe we can leave the link, or
Sure.
yeah, it's better to leave the link in the chat because we are running quite late. But I really suggest you and advise you to watch it because it's really nice and interesting.
Okay.
Thank you.
Also, I want to share this link with you. Is link to a form that I would really be grateful if you would complete it after by the end of this event, after you have witnessed all the presentations, and it will help us have your feedback on the whole CHEK process and CHEK tool ecosystem, so we can integrate also your feedback in our deliverables.
Thank you very much, Oriola.
Thank you.
Sorry for not letting you show in the video. Maybe right before re-entering after the break, we can run it because it's very interesting and
sure, no,
it's nice to someone can come.
I apologize for the interruption as well.
No problem.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And now we can go to the following session, which is about the CHEK DBP, the CHEK platform and checking workflow. So I leave the stage to our developers who will introduce and present the whole technology, architecture, and the components. Okay, there is no more So Anne Ferreiro Sistiaga from SAIPI, Elisa Dutch, Virtual City Systems, Luigi Alfaro at D-Roots, and Christian Friedrich at Synapse and Solibri now. Please, Anne, go ahead.
Okay, I'm going to share the screen. Yes, can you see my screen?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So in this session, we are going to present a little bit a grasp of the work done by software developers on CHEK projects.